What's good, family? What's good? It's your boy, Urban Sports Guru. I want to get to y'all as a recap from what I seen in Wildcard Weekend. Wildcard Weekend is just that, it's wild. Yeah, we're seeing a continuation, even though we're in 2021, we're seeing a continuation from 2020 where just crazy shit is happening. And that's the craziness of the playoffs. You just have to be ready for everything. And your team's flaws will get exposed. And we're going to start off with the Bills versus the Colts. And like I said, Stephon Diggs, who led the league in receiving, had a great day. They played a lot of zone coverage, which gives him free releases. And against that zone coverage, he ate it up. And Josh Allen just made a couple of deep ball throws that very few quarterbacks can make. And he did it and he made it look easy. That's the thing. He just flipped the ball. The ball's going 40 yards on a dime. On a dime. Like, you have to give this man his credit. He's really grown. He's really progressed as a quarterback. And Buffalo's defense can be run on, and that's going to be something I have to worry about next week. But I'll get to that in another video. And Indy Middle put up a good showing for themselves, especially in the fourth quarter. They put up a good showing for themselves, but Buffalo still pulled out the win. So that pretty much went how I saw it. Next game, we got the Rams against the Seahawks. One of the things I seen in this game was really revealed because the Rams defensively are kind of tailor-made for the Seahawks, and they give them problems. Always have. And I anticipate them giving them problems. I just figure like, okay, Russ will make some plays late. Here's the one thing about Russ, one problem I see with him. He won't make the intermediate throws. He won't just plant on that back foot and make the intermediate throw. A lot of times, he doesn't have the best offensive line, and the team is not invested in the offensive line. I'm watching some of the stuff today. It was talking about how the team hasn't drafted well in years. This is very true. I mean, when they built up that team, that Legion of Boom team, when they got, Richard Sherman, who's going to go to the Hall of Fame one day probably, and they got him in the fourth round, and Cam Chancellor in like a fifth rounder. Earl Thomas was a first rounder, but they hit on a lot of late round picks. They hit, and they just have not been hitting lately. In particular, the offensive line. They finally gave Russell Wilson some weapons. And they gave him a great weapon in DK Metcalf, who fell in the draft, who was a steal. But the offensive line is an issue. But one of the things, problems beyond that was Russell Wilson. He doesn't just plant and hit that intermediate throw. Just plant and gun it in there. He doesn't do that. A lot of times he's holding the ball to try to get a bigger play. Sometimes he'll hit the check down. And that is a real problem when you play against a team like the Rams, who can rush the passer with 4. Playing against a team like the Rams, where it's not just Ramsey. That other corner played a great ball game. Like, that other corner can cover. So Tyler Lockett didn't have a good game because he got swallowed up. So that works against other teams who can't cover on the back end. The Rams can cover, and it showed. And they were just ready for what the Seahawks had to bring them. Like that pick 6, the receiver that missed that block, Jesus fucking Christ. Because that's not on Russ. The receiver missed a block. You can't get more high percentage than throwing a bubble screen. And the receiver missed a block, so he goes back for a touchdown. That's just crazy. And Jared Goff is going to be efficient like that, where he's not turning the football over. Well, it's going to be easy when your running back runs for 130 yards, but when they get that kind of a running game, they're a very, very tough team to beat. Very, very tough team. I anticipated the Seahawks defensively being better against the run, but they haven't rebuilt that defense. They haven't. You put out a lot of resources to get Jamal Adams, and Jamal Adams is that dude. He is that dude. But defensively, that team needs a lot of help in that offensive line. You got to do something about that offensive line. Next, we go to the Buccaneers against Washington. And it basically happened like I thought. Taylor Heineke was looking good. I'm not even gonna hold you, he was. The Bucks have some real issues with their pass defense if they're not able to get to the quarterback because their pass rush is pretty good. But when that pass rush is not getting there, that team has problems. They can't really cover, especially particularly like deep balls that's been shown throughout the year. They can't really cover very well down the field. So that team has problems, and they're gonna have to fix that shit before next week. Because you're playing Drew Brees and a whole lot of weapons, and Tampa has two good running backs, but I don't think they're gonna be covering Alvin Kamara coming out the backfield. That's gonna be a problem. Um, but offensively, they look good, and they ran the football. You hear me? They ran the football. The fact that they was able to run, they was able to get the play action game going, and Tom Brady looked good. The offensive line held up. I mean, to some degree, they got some pressure at times, but you know, it never got it. The pressure never got completely out of hand, which is a good thing. And when you have games like that, Tom's gonna be able to light it up. He has so many weapons. He has so many weapons, and Antonio Brown is really shining now because he's entrenched. This is what everybody was afraid of when Tom Brady went there with all those weapons. This is what everybody was scared of, and I understand that. It's just, can the Bucks be consistent? That is the question. Now, for Sunday's game, we start off with the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson was spectacular, as I expected. The Ravens, this is a good thing. You need bad teams, and I say that because bad teams help you get your mojo. And the fact that the Ravens had a lot of bad teams late in the season, and they was able to get their mojo up against those bad teams, they was able to come into the playoffs rolling. Coming to the playoffs rolling. I mean, gave them confidence. I mean, Lamar Jackson threw for $179. 100 of that went to Marquise Brown. You know, it was able to get things rolling, but defensively, they really controlled the line of scrimmage, which is not an easy thing to do against that Titans offensive line and Derrick Henry. Everybody was kind of watching the game, waiting to see Derrick Henry eventually, the attrition, just wear you down, taking down such a big, strong running back like that. But the Titans paid him, and he rewarded him with a 2,000-yard season, so he's worth every penny. But Ryan Tannehill didn't play a bad ball game. Didn't play a bad ball game at all. So it's not on him. It's the fact that this isn't on him because I don't think he played bad. Particularly in the first half, I don't think he played bad. It's the fact that I picked the Ravens to win this game because I knew they was going against a bad defense. It's just that simple. They was going against a bad defense. Now, mind you, they won 2013 with the best kicker in the NFL missing a field goal. So they would have won by 10. You're going against a bad defense that they were charged up early, but eventually they don't stop the run well. They don't play the pass well. I mean, they got 4 sacks in this game. A lot of that was because Lamar Jackson just holding the ball. He doesn't process information very quickly. So they're able to get to the quarterback that way. But the Titans are not a good defense. They're just not a good defensive team. And that's saying something considering that their coach is a defensive coach for a damn good linebacker who played for the Patriots and Mike Vrabel. I think he's a damn good coach. But they got to do something about their defense. Their defense is terrible. If they had an adequate defense, they would have beat Baltimore. They would have beat them, even without King Henry having a great game. But they have a bad defense. They need to fix it. They've been searching for pass rushes since Javon Curse left. That's been a long fucking time ago. Matter of fact, they had one good passer. I'm forgetting his name. He had one good season there, and that was it. Next game, we have the Saints at the Bears. Pretty much went how I expected it. The score never got too crazy because Chicago, especially early, they made a lot of key stops. A lot of key stops. The defense played very well. Alvin Kamara had a great game. Drew Brees was efficient. He didn't turn it over, which was good. Um, he was efficient. I think he did a great job of spreading the ball around. Because Michael Thomas is back, he wasn't just okay. Michael Thomas, Michael Thomas, Michael Thomas. No, he didn't do that. He hit up everywhere. They had that kid Deontay Harris, who the Bears could not cover to save their life. And the Bears did something that I don't understand. They kept playing zone. You don't play zone against this offense. You just don't. You have to play man coverage. You have to bump them. You have to do those kind of things because play zone, that makes it comfortable for Drew Brees to just pick you apart. Let's see what Tampa brings to the table next week. I don't think Tampa could cover them. I really don't, honestly. But Drew Brees has to be sharp. If Drew Brees is sharp, I don't think Tampa could cover those guys. I just don't. Now, last night, the big surprise. And I got to say it. I put this on Mike Tomlin. I put this on Big Ben. I put this on Juju. Because, first and foremost, I put this on Mike Tomlin because Pittsburgh Steelers did not look like they was ready to play. When the first play, this Pro Bowl center snaps it over the quarterback's head. They did not look ready to play. And you rested your quarterback, but Big Ben, he's going to make mistakes. And this is something that's been a reoccurring thing when Pittsburgh gets in the playoffs. Mine is a team that had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell in their primes and never seen a Super Bowl. Yes, Mike Tomlin has 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. But those were with Bill Cowher's guys. I've said this all the time. And what made me optimistic about this team as the team was winning this year, finally has a defense that are his guys. Where the imprint is him. This is his defense. And still can't get to a Super Bowl. I mean, either you lay an egg against Belichick and Brady, which a lot of people did, or you lay an egg at home against Jacksonville. Now you lay a hand against the Cleveland Browns, and they run it up to 48 points on you. Big Ben turning the ball over left and right with 4 picks. And they got to figure out what they're going to do with Big Ben, because Big Ben, I didn't think Big Ben was going to last through the season. I really didn't. He surprised me. He did. But his effectiveness did not last through the season. He just didn't. Now you have a whole lot of talent. You have to fix that offensive line, because the offensive line came into the last couple of years as a strength. It's crazy because Pittsburgh for years in the AFC had a great offensive line, and Dallas for years had a great offensive line. And both teams' offensive line this year, whether through injuries, age, attrition, have both gone to shit. Both going down the toilet. You have to fix that offensive line. That's 1. You have to find a running game. That's 2. No matter what it is you do at quarterback. Those are 2 things you have to do. And defensively, maybe once they get everybody back and everyone can be healthy for a season, are they going to pay Bud Dupree? That's a question. Are you going to pay him? I don't. They've been looking for bookends for quite some time. He's a first round pick, so you expended a big resource out of him. You're not trading him. Are you going to franchise him a second year? I don't think he's as good as TJ Watt. But having him next to TJ Watt on the opposite end makes him a great defense. It makes him a great defense because when you just all TJ will get his individual, but in big games like this, you can chip him. You can. When there's only one guy, you can take him out the game. And the Steelers historically has always had 2 great bookends. It's always been 2, from Greg Lloyd to Kevin Green to James Harrison, Lamar Woodley. It's always been 2. So that's just my take. It's your boy Urban Sports Guru. I'm out. Salute.